right, it looks like we're up and running. It is just about 12 o'clock, 11:30. I don't even know where I'm at today. And I just want to welcome everyone who has joined us for the Leadership Now series. Today we are so excited because I get one of my favorite peeps, Rusty Cochran, who is the president and owner of We Care Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Solar. And before we jump into his topic of the power of the aligned culture, the reason why we have Leadership Now is really looking at building a community of thought leaders, mentors, teachers. We believe that we have lessons to teach each other, and often it is through the things that we have learned, whether they're the hard times or the good times, and helping give people ideas, a different way to look at things, creating hope. And so that's why we created this. If you are looking and watching this on Facebook Live, we don't get to see your comments. So if you have comments, you can put them in and we'll go back after the live. If you're here live on the webinar, we like to make this interactive. There is a chat bar. You can actually hit default to where it's all panelists and attendees. You can chat it up. If you have questions, you can put them in there. If you have questions and want to be brought in live for Rusty, put that in the Q&A and we will bring you in towards the end of the call. So, Rusty Cochran, I just want to say thank you for saying yes. I know you were kind of voluntold. You've always had a message that I think of that I believe people, they deserve to hear, they get to hear. And when I think of a leader, you within your company, we met, 2005, was it 8?
Yeah.
Was that when I went into your little trailer? There was 12 people. I remember in that single wide trailer, and I did like a 2-hour session, and you went from, well, before it was, you had 2 people in your living room, but we worked with 12, and you're over 200 in a 30,000 square foot building. And I know there's been so much just growth within you, within your company. And so talking about the power of an aligned culture is a message that I know we all get to learn from. So before we jump into that, just give us a little bit of information about you. Who is Rusty?
So thank you for having me today, Mary. I'm still don't know what I want to be when I grow up, but we're having fun here. Like you said, we grew from a single wide trailer, and it was a small little warehouse on the property on a 1 acre piece. And we went from that to, there was another mobile home on the same property that we were on. And we grew so much that we doubled our business and went into a double wide, so went from the single wide to the double wide. And then if people didn't like that place, we would just turn the thing around and we'd have different views. So they got a whole new office now. No, just kidding. But really it was, we were there for 9 years as we were, it was already starting to spike. We opened up as a new construction company. And then I met, through 7 years of doing that, we built it up to be about, $5.5 million in revenue at that time. And I met Frank Harrison, and he, mentored me, basically to get into a service replacement model. Now I knew of Frank because of where I work from. He had a relationship with our owner, and Frank was actually way back. Frank was his apprentice at a different company type of thing. So anyway, he got to show me the service replacement model. That was about 2007. And then the whole time he kept telling me that there's going to be a time that I'm going to ask you, I'm going to basically tell you, kind of like this meeting, voluntold, that you're going to go do, when the timing's right, I'll tell you what you're going to go do. You're going to do it for me. So it wasn't like money or anything like that, for him helping me do everything. It was more like he's going to do something. I didn't know what he's talking about, had no idea. Anyway, so we grew the business and kept growing it. And, he'd help me along the way. Any question I had, any whatever would be a job description or anything like that. So we turned our business from new construction into the service replacement model. And then that's really where we saw a decline, because in 2009, that's when the economy was at its worst. So 2008, it started with Lehman Brothers, but then 2009 was when it really hit. So we went from like $5.5 million down to like under 2 million. And then from that point, we just, basically didn't really drop the new construction in the sense it just went away because that ended. So we jumped on the service replacement model, and that's really what we've been doing since. And we went from that to, like you said, a large, nice building right along the freeway and a 30,000 square foot building. And then we have a second location in Orange, but, to get to 200 employees, that type of thing like that. And it's, really just built at a super fast rate of speed. And then we hit some bumps, from that point, that we've, you hit a plateau, and then you got to see what you're doing wrong and rebuild and then, grow again. And, different people, different situations, whatever it is. And, we just kept growing it, and, still have a great relationship with him as well, with Frank still meeting. But, it's just been a good, fun ride, and, looking for still growth. That's what I love, is the revenue part. But along that side of it, we'll talk about that later. But I mean, it goes into, the growth doesn't always equal the profits. So, I'm having fun chasing that part, but then you look back and go like, oh, wait a second, we're losing money here. Wait a second, what's going wrong? But anyway, it's been a good ride. And that's when that time came. We were in Mexico on a vendor trip, and Frank and Charlene were there, and they were sitting poolside after getting ready for our flights home or whatever. And it was like, now that was his time to tell us that, you're going to go do this class, this leadership training class. And then my wife was with me, and he, it was like, you should go first, Stephanie. Charlene was telling Stephanie she should go first. And anyway, she went first, and, from our company. And then she came back, I didn't know what was going on or whatever it was. I was still blind to it. And then a couple of weeks later, that's when I went to just started this whole training, really building the culture. Like, we've had the good fun times. We're a very sarcastic bunch. And, that does get in the way of some progress, but I mean, but it's still fun, that type of stuff, but it does, there's both sides of that. But anyway, aside from that, but I mean, we went to that, the first training, and just by myself, and it was, with other people, but I mean, the only one from the company. And it was very difficult for me. I mean, I struggled through the entire thing.
The love-hate relationship, right?
Yeah. I want to know what's around the corner, but by having it to be perfect, it gets in the way of doing new things and, avoiding a word there, but, so it holds me back from, like, I'd like to do that, but I'm not going to be good at it. So I don't want to do that and look like a fool. But by going to the class, you still have it. I mean, for sure, I'm not, Mr. Wild Crazy guy, but I mean, it does, open it up more, like, who cares? Just go do it and see what happens, type of thing. But came back from that, and really it was just, that was part of the whole culture thing. We brought it back to our company, and literally, excuse the language, but scared the hell out of everybody by like, you got to do this. This is what happens. And they're all like, yeah, that doesn't sound like a good idea. So, I mean, they're freaking them out. But I mean, really, it made it a tighter bond with the people, even though we were close and sarcastic, but you get a closer relationship with those people in there. So it's just been part of us since. I mean, it's, 12 years and still going.
Wow. So I'm going to back up, because when you talk about the power of aligned culture and understanding, and I absolutely love Frank. He's a mentor to so many of us. And there's that saying, when the teacher's ready, the student appears. And it's also when the teacher's ready, or the student's there, the teacher opens the door, but we still have to walk through it. Did you know prior to going through the leadership course, did you know what you wanted your culture to be?
No, I don't believe so. I mean, I think it was just, we did with the work that we did that came in. I mean, there was we didn't really have any kind of strategy or anything for the company at all. I mean, like you said, we were in a mobile home on a dirt lot in a small building, and we were there for 9 years, and, there really was no direction. It was just like, hey, we got a bid, we go do it, we sell it, then we got to go do the work. And then just, it just kept growing, but with no clear vision or direction of where we were going. So, I mean, a lot of this stuff does set up the goals and what we want to achieve. Then you start getting those benchmarks and KPIs, to move the company forward, and not just myself, but everybody with me to take them along for the ride as well.
So did you have core values in place prior to the leadership? I mean, a lot of times people have core values. They're just kind of words that they hang up there because they think they have to. Did you ever have like a mission, vision, values prior?
No, I mean, we had nothing really. I mean, it literally was nothing. I mean, we didn't, it was just whatever we could get, we'd go get. I mean, we were in, I mean, if you look at our first picture, you know, it's too bad we could have done some of this stuff thinking about it now, but, you know, we're in, some guys are wearing shorts and sweats and, you know, we had skulls on our shirt with like ice and blood dripping off of them. And that was our company shirt. So, I mean, it was, you know, I mean, we're in new construction, so we're not like going in people's homes. We're going into the homes they may move into, but not at the time. But I mean, it's a different world, you know, but I mean, it wasn't, I mean, there was literally hats on backwards and, you know, whatever you look like, that's, you know, I mean, now we have an image and everything else that goes with what we're doing. So it's completely different model. So no, there's no, I mean, now, you know, we have our care values, not our core values.
Right.
So we have our care values and, you know, it's living up to those. It's not just the placard on the wall. You know, you want to really, you know, talk about some of those things that if somebody does something like, hey, you really showed enthusiasm, for instance, is one of them, you know, like you really demonstrated that well when you did this specifically, you know, type of thing. So yeah, no vision, no job descriptions, no, nothing, to just do some work and whatever it was. It's probably kind of still, I live by the same motto, but it's probably like mission statement would have been fun. I mean,
Right.
you know, go sell some stuff. You know, there's really nothing there.
So you go through the leadership course and basically kind of wake up and you're like, huh, so what, how, talk me through that. So, or the viewers through that. So what happened? How did you then decide this is what we want to be? This is what we want to stand for?
So I would say that, you know, I mean, because you've known me for so long, and when we would talk on the phone about sending, you know, I used to say, we'll send our next victim, you know, so I mean, part of it was just that evil side on the, you know, the devil and the angel on your shoulders, and it was just like, and Bob did this, you know, I mean, that's part of who we are, is where I'm talking about, like the sarcasm and the fun part was doing that. But at the same time, there was, you know, it didn't hit me until it was over. You know, the class was completely over. You know, some people get it on day one, some get it on day two, some get it, you know, on the final day. And I mean, mine was like, nope, every step of the way I'm fighting it, I'm resisting it. And I had to pay for that during the class because I was resisting it. I kept going. I mean, but I mean, why I was, you know, you look back on stuff like that now and go like, what the hell was I holding myself back for? But, you know, going forward, it's, I don't even know what your question was, like going rambling about something else, but, you know, it became part of the culture, you know, just by seeing like much more clear. I mean, you know, it's still, you know, I don't have all the answers, but I mean, it definitely, hey, we got to put some stuff down on paper, you know, and it was really like going through that course, you know, spending more time out at the general heating and air out in the low desert. You know, our guys are wearing shorts and sweats and jeans and, you know, whatever, how we looked, and then go out there and you see them in uniforms and, you know, vehicles that are clean and, you know, everything else that was, you know, an image. And it was like, came back and showed the picture of us to our group and then showed the picture of them and just said, is this really what we want to be? What do we look like? What are we doing? I mean, so I mean, the course helped that, in addition to seeing what other companies were doing. I was never part of that side. I mean, where I came from, my whole career has been in new construction. So it's not that it's bad. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a different, you know, you want to, you know, you got to protect the people's homes when you're going in there. So it's, you know, you're doing the drug testing backgrounds and everything else. So it's the whole image thing compared to, that's all I'm getting at. Not that there's anything bad. We still do some custom homes now. So it's not like we abandon what we started.
Well, there's that saying too, that we don't know what we don't know. And so we just, you know, as a business owner, and a lot of people, they will start a business based on, oh, you know what, I'm good at this job. Why don't I just work for myself? And then we're just going to kind of hit and miss and not really having a clear plan, a clear vision. So then how the heck will you ever know what you want your culture to be if you don't even know what you're doing, so to speak, instead of just going through the rat race every day? So how would you define culture?
I mean, for us, it's really about having fun. So it's a place to come to, it's work. We have to get our job done at the end of the day. I mean, that's the most important part is, getting, well, it's not the most important part, but I mean, it is getting you still have to work, but at the same time, have fun doing it. And, it's, I walk around, and talk to the people that are in the company. It's a lot of people. So I mean, I can't say I know them all on a personal level and everything else, but I'm approachable. Yesterday I was, when the installers show up, I'm probably more in the way than I am helping them, but, I'm grabbing some sheet metal and stuff and, helping them load their trucks. Every night before I go home, I walk around to whoever's left and just say goodnight. So it's, just that, but it's, it's the whole hiring, the attitude, the training aptitude. I mean, that's what we're looking for is people that, want to come to work, that, can have fun coming to work, coming up for the Halloween week, whatever that is. Looking at the calendar, you can see it. But anyway, it's the last week of October. We're doing a spirit week. So each day has a different theme that they'll dress up, if they choose to, and, whatever it is. I mean, we've done like, what's your favorite Disney character? What's your favorite, or dress in camouflage, dress in, your favorite sports team, so different things like that, just to break up the monotony of work and, just have some fun. We've got a jukebox downstairs that, plays music so they can hear their, and each person can pick their own, music that they want to hear for the day or however long it goes for. But I mean, it's, just to lighten it up and, enjoy each other, not just, we're going to be here, whatever it is, 8-10 hours a day. Let's have some fun together.
So when I think of We Care, I do think of fun. I think of a lot of energy, and seeing just the transition through all the years. You've had some really good years, you've had some not so good years, you have rebuilding years. Where would you say when it was the best, when you think about culture, how you do things around here, the way your employee, your team, it flows, your values that you're living is how, it's the glue. What was happening? What was in place?
I mean, just really like the level of care from myself to the employees for me. I mean, I know, a lot of the employees, they probably get better offers and everything else, but they stick with us because they know I do care. And it's rowing all in the same direction, going for the same end result, whatever that is. There's no finish line, but I mean, it's constantly a battle every day. But, but really, I mean, it's just working together and rowing in the right direction. I mean, yeah, there is good times and bad times. And, if someone's down or whatever it is, let's, if not crying too much, if they're willing to, how can we help them? That's might not be just for me, but I mean, like the other employees interacting with each other, it's the same thing. How can they help each other as well? So a lot of times you're at work more than you are at home. So it's, it's make it one big family. I mean, when we started out, it wasn't, our initials were the WC, as you can see in the background there. And it's like, I went to a marketing class of all places, and it was always like, what does that stand for? And it's always like, we can because we care. And it's like, and the facilitator, he's like, we can because we care. We can because we care. He just kept like, we can because we care. Why don't you just be called We Care? I mean, that's how the name evolved from just WC to We Care. And then, now we go by We Care. But it just made sense. Like, we can say it, sounds cheesy, but it's not just our name. We care, so.
Right.
But we do. Like, I mean, I genuinely do care. I mean, care for our people and even the relationships with the vendors and everything else. We have good relationships. I mean, I could be a hard ass and just, beat the hell out of them for pricing and everything else, but it goes beyond our doors is the culture part. That they'll enjoy, I hope, working with us, and I think that's a better path than, grinding them. I mean, hopefully they'll just work with us, and I probably am leaving some chips on the table, but at the same time, I mean, we can all win together. They have to leave their lights on too, or keep their lights on. I mean,
So within the growth and knowing, and I love where the story came from, We Care, because I remember when it's because we can, because we care. And when I look at We Care, you really do care. You care for your employees, you care for your clients. And for those of you who do not know, Rusty actually was an old rock and roller, right? And it was your whole dream to be one of the front bands for Van Halen. So you take all that passion, and we walk into your office and you have guitars everywhere, and it's a theme throughout. It's, even though you come from something, it doesn't mean you leave it behind. It's part of who you are. So even the We Care and how it's evolved from not having a clear vision to all of a sudden just putting people through leadership training, and then seeing this fire, and then realizing, oh my gosh, we all are speaking the same language. You have to speak the same language. And then there's this crazy growth that happens. So and then you had some big challenges. In those challenges, what happened to your culture?
So, I mean, part of it, let me back up a little bit on the band part stuff. I mean, what I always say to that is, because yeah, we have guitars, jukebox, drum set, whatever, everything around all over the place, but pictures on the wall. And I say, like, our band was so good, that's why I do plumbing, heating, and air. So.
And there's Rusty.
Yeah, I didn't make it in that business, so that's why I do this. But, you know, as far as, what's the question?
I'm talking about the culture, from you get everyone with the excitement and the buzz and having fun, and you have the same common experience, but then you hit massive growth, and then there was change. There was some hard times. So how did that impact your culture?
You know, it's a bummer because I let it go. You know, when you start losing money, you know, there's things that got to be cut, and, you know, the fun stuff can go away. You know, we would do all company meetings, but we would do like even off-site trips, you know, like go to the Charger games or the Angel games, and you know, rent a go-kart track, you know, for everybody, whatever those were, bowling alleys, all that kind of stuff like that. But when you're not making money, it's very hard to do that. So things get sacrificed. And then the next thing you know, it's the culture piece of it. You know, then you start, you know, we're not going to the trainings anymore. We're not sending people just because of, you know, being able to afford it to be able to go. But then you look back and go like, well, maybe we should have stuck with it, because that was the big piece that kept us together. That the leadership stuff that comes in, whether it be monthly or just sending people off, that is the glue. You know, so I mean, it was, you know, we went through some hard times by doing it, or by not doing it. I'm sorry. So I think it's definitely, you know, you just, people get, you know, I mean, let go because you're doing now less work, and, you know, that kills me. You know, we have to have people busy and working all the time. I don't like it. I mean, sure, some people are probably like, I'd like to have a day off, you know, but, you know, when it gets to become a week or 2 weeks, you know, or anything like that, you know, it tears me up. I don't like it. I want them to, you know, the people work here. It's my job to keep them all busy. So when it comes to that point and you're not making money, the culture suffered by not being able to do the fun things, but we could have. It didn't have, you know, you got to look, what could we do that doesn't cost money? You know, it doesn't cost us anything to do Spirit Week. You know, they can dress up whatever they want, and those little things add to it. You know, but then you start looking at it and going like, you know, we did a culture assessment, you know, whatever it was, 6 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, whatever it was. And, you know, some of the things that we got to open our eyes to again, to see that what made us successful was, some of the stuff was so simple. You know, the all company meeting, you know, we were doing it monthly, then quarterly, and then we didn't do it at all. And that was one of the big takeaways from it, was like, we want to have an all company meeting. And to me, I'm like, see, there's lights that go off. I didn't pay your electric bill. Sorry, hang on. So, sorry. Anyway, so those are the, I mean, it just gets challenging doing that stuff when you can't do it. But like I said, the free stuff is, you know, you can do all that kind of stuff, and you send people, and to do an all company meeting, it's a lot more work than what people think it is, but it's really like, I mean, it's not like a ton of, you know, I mean, it's time, you're busy already doing your work, and now you got to do some stuff like that. But I mean, to realize like, wow, that really meant a lot to people, and we stopped doing them. And, you know, so we're doing one, you know, next week, and it'll be partially in-house, partially on Zoom. We've never done a Zoom meeting before, like a all company meeting type of thing. So I don't know if it'll work, if it'll blow up, or, you know, it'll be great. I mean, you know, we're got some cool stuff that'll be in there a little different than in the past, to trying to mix it up to make it work for Zoom meeting as well. But I mean, that was simple. I mean, it was just like, we can do this. I mean, it's just time that we, you know, you make the time to do it versus, you know, like, I mean, it was a hassle, like, oh, I have to suck together. You know, it's always the night before, we're here all night long. Not really, but I mean, late at night, putting it all together to get up in the morning. But what was really fun about the all company meeting was there's mess ups. Nobody would know it, that there's things that are going wrong, but we point them out just to make it more fun. Just again, that not really sarcasm, but kind of the sarcasm, or to poke fun at somebody. Like, you know, we have our guy Matt that does the that sets it all up. So it's always like, you know, what did you do? You know, get up here and hula hoop, you know, type of thing. And he might not even messed up. It might have been me, but, you know, you just play the blame game, push it off on him.
But, you know, so you talk about, and I remember going into some of your meetings and being part of them. And I actually use We Care, their chant, for a lot of people with affirmations, right? The enthusiasm. I'm alive, I'm awake, and I feel great. I'm alive, I'm awake, and I feel great. And I just remember the entire room just cheering with their hands up in the air. And you walk out going, whoo! But when it becomes too normal and things happen, it's almost as we get away from the vision about why we're doing it. And when things get tough, if we're not paying attention as we slowly withdraw, we're not even aware that we're withdrawing until it's nothing. And it's either, the way a lot of us think, it's either all or nothing. Instead of going, man, how do I keep this in the forefront? What can we do? We can't do this, but what can we do? You know, there's studies that show that employees, they want to be appreciated, they want to be valued, they want to be heard, they want to be part of a family. It's not necessarily about the revenue. When you do what you're doing within the culture with anyone, right? When they feel like, man, this is a big family to come into. When they fit the culture and all of a sudden that piece goes away, now you have the disengagement. And so to learn from it, and that's what you're doing, it's like, all right, we're rallying back up. So what can we do? How do we do this differently and still create the engagement? So do you guys still have that cheer?
So we've, I mean, because we just, I'll say, borrowed that from somebody else. I mean, it wasn't like we made that thing up. And then, you know, so, I mean, we use that one, and we also use the, you know, who cares, I care, who cares, you know, that one too. So we have two different ones. But again, I mean, it's been, you know, because the COVID shut down, we haven't done a meeting in whatever, 9 months or whatever it's been. So, I mean, that cheer is just not there. So, I mean, it'll be fun to get it, you know, resurrected again, to get things rolling. And, you know, we have the signage in there in the office too. As you go down the staircase, it's almost like Notre Dame. I mean, hit the sign as you're walking down, getting ready to hit the field, you know, so it's there, you know. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. And then, you know, just some of the stuff that's even in the all company meeting, you know, we celebrate the birthdays. Mm-hmm. And that's like just a total debacle, but that makes it so fun because there might be, let's just say 18 birthdays, and you sing happy birthday to you. And then you get to the names and everybody's saying them at different times. And it's just blah, 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 happy birthday, you know, so, but that's the excitement part that people get a kick out of. You know, we're talking about doing it this time because it's been, whatever, I don't know how long, but 9 months, let's call it, since our last meeting. Like, well, we can't really do the birthday thing because that's not fair to the other 8 months. And they're like, why don't we just put them all in there and we'll have like,
right,
you know, whatever it is, 150 names, and you're going to say 150 names, but they're all, figure 150 people saying 150 names all at different times. So that's what it's, I mean, it's just chaos, it's noise, but it's funny because it's, in where we're talking about maybe doing something different with it, speed it up. But I mean, just little simple things like that. I mean, even culture wise, we talk about, I hand write a birthday card to everybody in the company. Wow. You know, so it's like, my hand's like,
writer's cramp.
Oh man, it's killing me. But I mean, you know, but it's, you know, I start about the middle of the month, and by the time the end of the month gets here, you know, we send them all out on the 1st. but it's a little gift card inside for them. But, it's just, what can we do to make someone's day? Just, you want to do that to your customers, but if we get the people happy, the employees happy, then that's just going to go, from our office into their homes. So it first starts here. It's got to be about the employees.
So those of you who are actually watching this on, well, you can do it on Facebook Live too, or here in the webinar. Those of you who have worked with Rusty or know Rusty and you know his culture, I just want you to put in the chat, when you think of the culture of We Care, what comes to your mind? So we're going to see what shows up there. And
nice.
as they do that, let's talk about, you said revenue doesn't equal profit. When the wheels fall off, it all comes down to the culture. So what does that mean?
Well, I mean, we've, just going through the tough times, we brushed a little over it, but I mean, it's harder to keep that culture in place, not intentionally, but you lose it because you don't realize it, but piece by piece, it just starts to drift away. Maybe we made some mistakes doing something, or we're going to try something new, and you end up getting rid of, some great people that, you wish you would have never got rid of, or whatever happened, cuts, meaning, and, but it's, I mean, some of those relationships are still here, that don't work for me anymore, that have moved on, and, but it's, touching their lives as well. But, it's just, you got to keep it going. Don't let the revenue get in the way of, the relationships that you have with the people. It gets harder as the owner because you have to keep the ship afloat and you have to pay your bills. So I'm not saying like go out and have all fun and games and don't worry about the work, but I mean, you get the right people, the things will happen. Outside of this, things are out of your control, but control what you can control.
Yeah, I love it. So I have here within, when they think of culture, it is awesome heart, heartfelt, real, dedicated, they believe, fun to work for. Pamela Anderson says, miss it every day. Holly, she said, we were one big family, loved coming to work. We went through the trenches together and had a great time doing it. Kelly Barber's on here. And I love this because they're the people that were with you. They're not there. And it's exactly what you talked about is the relationship is still there. Favorite person ever. Kelly says you're her favorite person ever. Great culture and you want success as much as the person next to you. Very heartfelt. And Rusty, that's what culture is. A lot of times you can't necessarily put your finger or describe it, but it comes from the people around you. It's what they see. It's what they feel. And you are one of the biggest heartfelt guys. And yeah, sometimes you slide a lot of sarcasm under it, but underneath, you are one of the most genuine, authentic men I know that will fight for the people. You go in the trenches with your people. You're willing to do the hard stuff. You're not the owner that's out there just directing everyone. You actually get in there with them and are willing to do what you're asking them to do. And it's, Michael Goder's on here. And just knowing the difference you make, that, sir, is how you've created just amazing people. And you've paid it forward.
Thank you. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Pamela. Hi, Michael. Hi, Holly. But I mean, that does it. It's great to have those, past employees that, that are still part of my life. I mean, still talk to some of them, just wish Pamela a happy birthday. Those things it's neat to have that still, even when they're not here anymore. Holly came by the other day, as well, probably a couple of weeks ago, whatever it was now, but, it's just neat to see, where they're at, what they're doing, even some of the people that have left, I've helped them, get their new jobs, for whatever reason. I mean, they might have left for health reasons. They might have left because we suck, whatever it is. I mean, but, those things happen. And, if, some left for different careers, one's a Santa Ana Police Department, I mean, things like that. And we help them and we still send them through all the classes. Even though we knew he was leaving for the police department, we still sent him to all the different classes, knowing that, I mean, it's, it's that old, what is it? If they stay type of thing, that saying, whatever it is,
What if you invest in them and they leave? Well, what if you
Yeah.
don't invest in them and they stay?
Yeah, I mean, it's invest in your people. I mean, get them the, I don't remember the quote either. Another good one was, about, coach them so they can go anywhere they want, but take care of them so they stay.
That's Richard Branson. I just read that one. And that's,
yeah, I mean, that's powerful. I mean, that's great. I mean, that's ultimately what I want. And even if they do move on, if we still have a good relationship, like, that's awesome too. I mean, it was, they can still look back and just say, whatever, I was a part of their life. I touched their life, something along those lines.
So people who are on here watching or will watch in the future, and they're struggling with creating a culture, because that's some of the things that I've heard is that, man, I thought we had a culture, COVID hit, and we realized that we don't even have a culture that, like we don't have a culture. What words of advice or wisdom could you give to them to help create? Where do they start? How do they create a culture?
I mean, I think,
or to say an aligned culture.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. I mean, first you have to have it. Where are you going with the company? Like, what do you stand for? What are you about? And I mean, first get that down. You got, the mission statement, the vision, the core values, and all that stuff has to be in place, really, to start. But I mean, maybe you're creating it by starting that culture and actually having the conversations with your people. I mean, doing a culture assessment definitely helps, because then you get to see how engaged people are. I mean, the number of people that, all the statistics show out there, it's a super low number. You probably know the number, but it's like 30% are engaged or something in work. I mean, it's really low, and it's kind of surprisingly, but I mean, it is, and if you can get it to, if the average is 30 and you can get it to double that, 60%, I mean, you're doing very well. So you're never going to get everybody at 100% all the time. There's always something going on in somebody's life, that comes up, so but if just to start out, I mean, culture assessment, I mean, just by even talking to your people and seeing where they're truly at, are they aligned with what you're wanting to do? But I mean, you have to be clear, and at least, maybe not clear, but you have to have, some kind of a foundation or an idea about this is what I want my company to look like, whatever field it is. And, pretend you're already there. What does it look like? And then work backwards.
I love that. Starting from the end in mind, but it starts with you. So what do I want my culture to look like? What's that vision? And then being willing to have the conversations with people. I think oftentimes people are so afraid to have a real conversation like that, because what happens if they find out that the person's totally checked out and they don't want to be there and they're one of your star employees? Have you ever had a conversation like that and found that out?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you want to find out what are the reasons and get to the root of it. Maybe it's something simple to fix that you just didn't know. Like, I mean, if you don't have the conversations, then you lose a good person and they're gone. And I mean, you just lost your all-star, so it's, if you can have those conversations up front. I'm not saying it happens all the time. We're great at catching it before something goes south, but if you have a really strong culture, it's going to come up anyway. And, I'd rather people come talk to me anyway. Like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. I mean, about every little item in their life, but I mean, just in general, like if it's something really bothering about the company or what we're doing, the direction, or even where they're at. I mean, some of the stuff that comes up personally from people, it's because I care. It's not like I'm going to go out and blab it to the world either. But I mean, having that relationship that people feel comfortable with you, I think is definitely a key. The dictatorship style, it's a thing of the past. Even the military has to look at different ways to motivate people to keep them going. It's still going to be tough on you, but I mean, but at the same time, I mean, it's, we all have to look at that, it's not the past that it was, iron fist, I think it's about caring for people. You're going to get more out of your people.
Yeah.
And be genuine, be real.
So I'm actually going to open up for questions. If you're on Facebook Live, I can't see the questions, so you'd have to come into the webinar live to do that. So if anyone has questions or comments for Rusty, you can put them in the chat. If you actually want to be brought in live and ask him directly, put it in the Q&A, and then we'll bring you in that way. And as they're gathering their thoughts, what does We Care's care values?
Oh boy, that's a tough one because it's a placard on the wall. It's really like, each letter stands for something. So it's the W, win the day, and the win the day. That is a revenue number that we want to achieve every day, but it is, the enthusiasm, so each letter goes down, caring for the C. Put me on the spot here, I'm drawing a blank. I should know all these, but each one is empowering was the other E. So as we go through each one means something. And that's what I'm saying. If you can use those and tell somebody that just to get it more in their head that what you're doing with these things, like at the all company meeting, we pass out the postcard and put it on everyone's chair. When you're interviewing somebody, you're handing out it's a little postcard size, and you're handing it to them and just saying, can you live up to these? Is this you? Is this what you're about? We learned it from one of the organizations we belong to, Nexstar. They have their values in the front of their book. On every single book that they print, it shows the mission statement and values. So just learning that kind of stuff like that, so we can be that honest integrity company, that's out there, and obviously the caring part of it. So I kind of dodged your question, but I got like 4 of the 6.
No, because I remember you said we don't have core values, we have care values. Yeah. And what you live and what I've seen is not just outside of you. It's not just your clients. You will absolutely go the extra mile. What we really see is also how you impact the team internally with those. We can because we care. You absolutely care.
And it is our mission statement is we care to go the extra mile, which is also a biblical term, to go the extra mile. Mm. So it's cool. It is. It's go above and beyond. Rake up the leaves, pick up the trash for somebody, bring the cans in or whatever it is. Do something that's nice for somebody, whatever that looks like, change their flat tire, or bring in the newspaper. Just simple little things. And again, it doesn't cost nothing to do that.
Well, that goes along with people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And yep. Then when you come from that place, you talk about, profit doesn't equal, or revenue doesn't equal profit. When the wheels fall off, it all comes down to the culture. When people know you care and you'll go the extra mile, they'll follow you. They'll follow you through the trenches. I've seen you invest in people who are leaving. Like you were saying earlier, you know what? I know they're going part-time, or I know they're going to be leaving the company. I just want to give them a gift. That is culture. It is the heart. It is, how do I be that advocate for people who sometimes they don't know themselves. They don't know what they're capable of. But in order to do that, it goes right back to Frank Harrison, right? He was your mentor, and we have to learn from someone in order to understand it, because we don't know what we don't know.
Right. Yeah, for sure. He is a big part of my life. Even Michael being, the Mr. Energy, it's going to be awesome. His enthusiasm and, that spreads. Just his personality when Michael worked for us and he'd walk in, just everybody's, he'd light up the rooms, and high five everybody walking around and cheering and everything else. He's that guy. Yeah. So you got to have the cheerleader too in the room. It's just maybe Michael being the cheerleader, however that works. Whatever, Michael.
He actually has a question for you. He said, when you find someone that all-star, what onboarding process do you follow so that they truly grasp your culture and are set up for success?
Wow. Couldn't you just throw me a softball? Like, what's your favorite color? I would say, you got to put them with the right people, so you're going to get the training. Now we've got, which well, Christian Risley is our full-time trainer now. He's going into that role, and he's the same way, as an enthusiastic person that's outgoing. But so you put him with that, and then in our world we do ride-alongs, or it could be sitting side by side in a call center chair, like someone like Alan or Ariana, super fun personalities. So they get to really show that side of it. So it's really coaching the person that's going to be mentoring that person. I'm not going to be sitting with all of them for a month, so it's whoever you're putting them with, I think is the key to make sure that they get to see what the company is all about. And really like, some of the simple things that, we've, learned, send a welcome home or welcome to the team, welcome to the team card to them. I mean, when we hired Ryan that went to the bowl last week, when he got hired on and put a dollar bill in a card and then said, let's make a lot of these together. We learned that from, another trainer, Jack Daly, and different things like that. Like, now this sounds maybe a little harsh, but outside of the people retiring, but the people that are leaving your company, especially the ones that go to another company, you don't want those people. The ones that go to a different industry, that's a different story. But, but I mean, like, you have a going away party for those people, but why not do that too? But why not have a welcome aboard party for them? Like have balloons, maybe a catered lunch, something like that. That was all from that same training, but it stuck in my head like, yeah, like why not? Why don't we have a sign like, welcome aboard, Mary, so happy to have you. And then, have some balloons or a lunch, for you, just simple little things that, can be like, so when you go home and you ask your spouse, like, well, how was your first day? I made the right decision.
Right.
And if you do that on day one, that's huge.
And they say that, especially this younger generation coming into work, they know within the first day and definitely the first week if they're going to stay with you. And it goes back into people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And it's the culture. If your culture is, man, I'm going to have an onboarding party for you. I am so excited you're part of this family. And then you couple it with, we're doing our all company meetings monthly, and there's different things that it doesn't have to cost a lot of money, but it lets them know, I see you, I value you, you're part of this family. And then it also goes back into what you stand for, because everything that you do with the we care, it's a trickle down. How are we showing our people that we care? That's a great question and great answer. Dylan says, I'll be implementing the welcome aboard party immediately. That is an awesome idea. So what is, as we get ready to wrap this up, what is your greatest lesson? See, it's not that bad. What is your greatest lesson as it relates to culture?
Greatest lesson? Don't take it for granted. Don't take your people for granted. I mean, just show that level of care for them. And if you have it, you have the right person, I mean, then it'll just go a long way. I mean, my dad actually is the one that, taught me the trade and, the hard work ethic and all that stuff like that. So, I mean, it started at home really, to make me who I am. And then just the people that I surrounded myself with, whatever, made me that much stronger. As I'm choking.
Yeah, I just love your heart, Rusty. Tiffany said, heard, great statement. Don't take them for granted. And so many times I think that's one of the biggest opportunities of this whole year is not taking things for granted. The people that know you, Rusty, the people who get to work with you, the people who come in contact with you, they're so blessed. And I don't just say that, like, I know you. And I love your heart. I love your passion. And just keep being you.
See, Tiffany, you were correct. I saw your comment that you're going to make him cry.
Kuiper's on here. He has a question. What is the single most important thing you'd recommend to avoid cultural shifts, and learn from the waves of good and bad cultures through growth?
Cut the cancer out right away. I mean, if you've got a bad seed and if that person can't be turned, I don't know if that's the right answer, what you're looking for, but I mean, really it's, don't address the problem anyway right away. I mean, first off, I mean, if you can be saved or turned or changed, because it might be something simple, do it right away. A lot of times we get complacent. We don't make the action because, oh, that person's good, they can do the job and everything else. But if we addressed it, maybe we caused the problem. I mean, I'm sure there's so many people that, I made the mistake that I'd have to apologize for our leadership by not being clear, for giving them the right direction or expectations or accountability behind it that, we lost good people because of that. So, I mean, if we address the problem right away, I mean, that's the best thing I could say is take care of it right away.
Do simple better and quicker. Touche. Love you, Rusty. That's what Paul says. I actually have someone who wants to be brought in live. Bear with me just one moment. Oh my gosh.
There you go.
There you are.
Hey, I am so proud of you. You know, you're awesome. And, you know, just to watch you as you've grown over all the years and you know, the fun that we've had together and the learning we've had together, a lot of great experiences. But you're an amazing man. And if I was a little bit younger, I'd probably come to work for you.
Well, I mean, just a little history on that. I mean, you did talk about being like a Walmart greeter for us. You would just stand at the door.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I can probably work Costco for you, you know. So, but anyhow, this is so amazing, and you know, something I was honored to, you know, to get to do this with Mary, and we built such a great relationship, and this all came from culture. I mean, it all started, and you know, the people that we've met, how our companies grew, how we cared, because everything you've said, Rusty, it starts with the people. You know, you're caring, surround yourself with people you trust, you care, and they'll build your company for you. And it's not about how fast you can be the biggest. It's about profitability. And if you do it right, the growth will follow, you know, and I'm a firm believer of that. But, you know, I just love it. I wish we lived closer, you know. I don't get to see you enough, but, you know, you built a heck of a company over there. And, you know, we've had an amazing friendship.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you've given me so much.
You know, I have on here, seeing these two legends on the screen is awesome.
Did I wear the right shirt, Mary?
You did, I saw that.
Okay.
Oh, you know, and for those of you who don't know, talk about the legends. Driven and specifically, well, I mean, Driven is really a byproduct of you two. It is, you know, that quote that great leaders are the ones who inspire people to learn more, to do more, to be more. And I look at the two of you, and because of your actions that inspired Eric to play bigger, and just your support and to be able to play in the same arena,
Well,
so honored.
You know, Mary, I speaking for, I'm sure Rusty too, is that we're so proud of where you've gone, and it wasn't an easy startup for you, I know, and you've had to work very hard, but you guys are so successful, and I'm so proud of you that you built a successful company, and how many people you're helping, you know, that they take that with them, whether it's the tennis team, whether it's bowl, whether it's, you know, whatever.
Or whether it's We Care or the General.
Yeah. But no, it just, you know, I go back on what Rusty said, and because it just so happened that one of my ex-employees I ran into this morning, and people are constantly thanking me for opening doors for them, because, you know, you can't make them do this, but you give them the opportunity. And as long as they work for you, you benefit. But guess what? They benefit the rest of their life. They have that culture. It's embedded in them. And they'll always say, oh yeah, I learned that here, or I learned that there, or that's the way I am. And it certainly made a big difference in my, you know, many years in business. And I see it with Rusty, and you know, and obviously, you know, Rusty's had to take a step backwards to go forward, but that's part of life too. And it's not fun, it's not easy, but it's part of our learning, and you know, we get stronger from that.
Absolutely. We need the step backwards to go forward so that we can be even bigger.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I am so grateful that you got on here. Been waiting for Frank to show up.
I've been on it the whole time, but I didn't want to be the first one on. I didn't know how many people were in line, so you know.
That's okay. One last comment, and then I did post the feedback poll. Holly says, great cultures will inspire and push individuals to constantly better themselves, sets people up for success, even if they outgrow life at your company. I'll share my current work indicated how well We Care groomed me. The culture allows employees to reach their full potential. And that's what it's all about.
Holly's awesome. Come back, Holly.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, she's amazing, amazing young lady, and it's neat to see her career blossom. And, you know, thank you too, Frank, for all your kind words. I'd give you a big, bold hug right now if I could.
I did. I got to
Yeah.
give him a bold hug.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to, oh, go ahead.
Life is good.
Go ahead.
It is.
Just to say, we've had you know, Frank and I have got to travel the world together and have put down many bottles of wine together. Look forward to many more.
That's true. We're not done yet.
No, that's for sure.
Well, I do want to thank everyone for being on here. And Rusty, thank you for finally saying yes. Well, you did say yes, but we pushed you aside. And just your message. And I just want you to know, just if you ever forget, remember the words, remember the lives that you've touched, because you truly are making this just huge difference in this life. And I look at Frank and I'm just so grateful for this, you know, this relationship, because of the two of you. Talk about culture, you make us better. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for all you've done for us, and I mean,
Amen.
our company, myself personally, you know, my family, you know, sending the kids as well. We've done, you know, 2 of those have gone through, 1 to go. I'll continue to keep going. But I mean, it's, you know, it goes deeper than just the people at work. I mean, you want to spread this out, you know, along with many others too.
Culture breeds culture.
And
Amen.
thank you for all the people that are on here watching. I mean,
That's right.
you know, appreciate them all making the comments, and you know, almost made it through the whole thing without crying, but I know I would.
I'm glad you show that part. That's your heart. That's your heart.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jason Lindstrom is going to be on here in 2 weeks. And actually, because of election, we want people to vote. So we're going to have him on Monday, November 2nd at 11:30. And he's going to be talking about overcoming the art of justification. So that will be a good one. So until then, we will see you all. Thanks again, Rusty. Thanks, Frank. Thanks for everyone who's been on here, and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great seeing all of you.
Thank you all.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.